Hello everybody and welcome back. Welcome back to another one of our quick episodes. And you may be able to tell it's filmed on the same day because I'm stuck in traffic still. So what we're going to discuss in today's Opinion Leapfrog is, are we all just a little bit, I want to use the word brainwashed, but I'm going to say mentally conditioned. Are we a little bit mentally conditioned about the fuel sources we use? And I will put my hands up and say, I am. But not in the one you think. It's not that I'm mentally conditioned or even brainwashed into EVs. No, I will admit to being brainwashed about diesel. And it comes from a conversation I had the other day. The fact that we were talking about Pavlovian responses. If you don't know what Pavlovian response is, it's a test called Pavlov's dog. So basically, he worked out that a dog's mouth would start to water if you rang a bell before you fed him. He would get the response that the bell would mean food. And therefore, if you just rang the bell, his mouth would water, whether you're going to feed him or not, which is a little bit cruel, but, let's get past that. So we were discussing this whole kind of reaction, and I said that I had a similar reaction, not that the mouth started to water, but I had an associative reaction when I was growing up. Because I grew up in quite a rural area of Cumbria. And I had a very, very long school bus ride to school and home from school, surprisingly. And it didn't matter whether it was horizontal rain, whether it was blisteringly hot or cold, the bus always came. And I started to have, and right now, if I think of a bus, I can think of those old coaches that you used to get, which was done by the local coach company who won the contract for the school bus route, and we'd get a 50-odd seater coach instead of not like a normal inner city bus, but a coach which would come along, pick up everybody, and waft us to school on seats which smelled, because it was the 80s, they smelled of stale cigarettes and spilt beer and unburnt fuel from the rattling diesel that was underneath us. And you just knew that clattering diesel would get you home. That would get you home to your tea at night on a freezing cold day, or that would take you to the warmth of school on a freezing day. It would be dry, the heater would always work, and it'd be safe away from the wind and the rain of Cumbria. And then you start to think that everything that needs to be depended on was diesel. Whether it was tractors, whether it was pickup trucks, whether it was lorries, all diesel. And diesel became, and has always been, since I can remember, a Pavlovian kind of automated response of, I need something reliable and dependable, buy a diesel. Ambulances, diesel. Fire engine, diesel. Tanks, diesel. Boats, diesel. Military vehicles and diesel. It was just a watchword of reliability. Simple, heavy duty, bit manly, diesel. It does a job. But the thing is, are they specifically more reliable than electrics? It's kind of a weird one. I know it may feel like I'm forcing this, but there are plenty of stories. I'll put a link in the description, in the video description, to a number of other videos of high mileage EVs, which have been taxis. Another thing which needs to be dependent on is a taxi. It needs to, that person who is that taxi driver needs that car to work day in, day out, so that he can make his money. He needs to depend on that. The people who he gives rides to need that car to work. And there are MGs, there are Teslas, there are VWs with 100, 200, 300,000 miles on them, are still on their original batteries, but will have had no servicing compared to an equivalent petrol or diesel car that has done taxi work. If you think about how often a petrol or diesel car needs to be serviced. So in America, most people service their car at an alarming rate of 3,000 to 5,000 miles. They do an oil change. In Europe, most people say, okay, an oil change in a diesel is 8,000 miles, maybe 10. Petrol cars, 10. If you're pushing it, 15. And if you think about how much work goes into keeping a petrol or diesel reliable, by servicing it, by maintaining it, glow plug changes, filter changes, taking the water out of the fuel filter on a diesel. If you didn't do that, that car would not be as reliable. Yet the servicing on an electric car is, you get to 100,000 miles, you drop the transfer case oil and see what it's like. You might not even need to do that. Your brake pads, they don't actually need to be changed. They need to be lubricated, ironically, on the back to stop them squeaking. It's a whole different level of reliability. And some people may say battery degradation. One of the videos I'm going to put to is a high mileage MG, and after hundreds of thousands of miles, the battery's still at 90% state of health. That's amazing. And if you put, let's say, a couple of 100,000 miles on a 2-litre diesel Octavia, I'm pretty certain that it won't be doing the same kind of fuel mileage as it was when it was brand new. It'll be pretty close, but then again, 90% battery health is pretty damn close after 280 odd thousand miles or whatever it was. Anyway, so this is where I want you to jump in and put in the comments below whether you think that opinion is complete and utter tosh, whether you feel that you are slightly brainwashed or mentally conditioned into loving petrol because you remember the smell of petrol. You like me, went to race circuits and smelt race fuel as a kid, and it just automatically makes you think that equals fun. That smell means power. That is excitement. The smell of burnt Castrol really gets your heart beating. The sound of a race engine compressing your chest makes you think that is all there can be. Nothing else will come close, and you will not touch anything else because that is the way. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? And we'll come back to this at a later point. If you have been, thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube bump, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.